Joining us today are two heavyweights to discuss the maiden policy address unveiled by Hong Kong Chief Executive John Lee Ka-chiu. Allan Zeman, chairman of Kwai Fong Group, and former Executive Council convener Bernard Chan, who joins us via Zoom. To facilitate our chat, let me quickly sum up four key takeaways of his speech. Talent is at the center of the focus. Measures included a 2-year visas for overseas top graduates. In certain industries, local employers will be allowed to import talent without proving difficulties in hiring locally. He also has ambitious plans on housing. He vowed to increase supply by 50% in 5 years by bringing in a new type of public housing plans. On infrastructure, he proposed 6 new railway and highway projects to better link different parts of the city. On COVID curbs, no major relaxations, but the government will pump 1.4 billion Hong Kong dollars to bring exhibitions and events back to the city. Allan, Bernard, we all hear a very ambitious plan.
Right.
Allan, a quick question to you. Tell us your reaction to the policy address in one line.
In one line, it's a breath of fresh air after what we've been through the last administration. This Hong Kong people can really look forward to a great 5 years ahead.
Bernard, how about you?
Obviously, retaining local talents and attracting new talents is the theme, and it's about time. I think it put us on par with others now.
But then for some people, they think, no surprise on further relaxations on COVID. Is that something you expected, or like you feel disappointed in the business perspective?
Honestly, of course, we all wanted to see 0+0. You know, you have 0+3 right now. But I can understand their apprehension at the moment. You have the Party Congress going on in China. You've got, President Xi coming out and talking that dynamic zero will be kept for a while, and I think that I'm pretty confident that sooner rather than later we'll be at 0+0. But 0+3 has really changed the game a lot for Hong Kong. I mean, it's the first time I traveled in 3 years out of Hong Kong. I went to Singapore, and really a lot of people, we can see the airport numbers have doubled since 0+3. And so, yes, it has not brought tourism back yet, but it's coming. So watch this space.
Bernard, how about you?
Well, I mean, so much of his policy address focused on talent, especially outside talents, and you can't bring these talents in. I mean, these are great initiatives, long overdue. I think it's amazing that we finally have this breakthrough, and we're going to bring these talents in. But to do so, I mean, COVID policy needs to adjust, because otherwise these talents won't be coming in yet. But I agree with Allan. I think it's a good start. I mean, we are, albeit late, I think we are now at least a couple of months behind many other countries in the region. So we need to do massive catch up. So I hope the fastest we can relax these rules, the fastest we can catch up with our peers.
On governance, because it's very interesting that Johnny attempted to set himself apart from Carrie Lam. He listed out 110 KPIs and introduced a new reward and punishment system for civil servants. You both work closely with former CEs. How do you compare the two? Bernard?
Well, I'm sure I bet Allan will agree with me too. Every CE, every chief executive has a different style, right? So, and I think John clearly is under pressure for deliverables, right? It's not just the wishes of Hong Kong people, but as well as from from Beijing or from the rest of the entire country of 1.4 billion. They want achievables. They want a sort of a KPI. So I think he's under a lot of pressure, and in fact, many of the initiatives mentioned is echoing to what he has in his manifesto, in his election manifesto. So, yeah, it's tough it's not easy, but it's what expected from him. And I think it's not just him alone too. Look at all the global leaders today, with the economy in a downturn, possible recessions, and so every leaders, global leaders, are facing the same challenges ahead, and obviously, Chief Executive John Lee also needs to address the same issues such as housing. To perhaps, well, luckily Hong Kong haven't seen much of an inflation yet, but that may be coming. You never know, right? The world in such a challenging economic situation right now.
The last question before we end, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the policy address?
It'll be closer to 9, 10, and it's probably the best policy address of any chief executive since the handover in 1997.
You give a high mark.
A very high mark.
I would give him an 8. Obviously, he covered most of the topics that being mentioned in his manifesto. So I'll give him an 8. Why not 10? To exact same point as Allan, is I guess it would take some time for us to see how he can execute these things.
Yeah, time will tell how he's going to deliver all his ambitious goals. Thank you for joining us today.